Greetings, glitter goddesses. Happy Saturday. I'm here with Tiny Cat, and we're gonna get ready to finish once and for all this Christmas album. So that's what we're doing today. We're gonna finish the Christmas album. So gonna finish the the December daily. I'm like, what are these things called? I don't know words. Words are hard. So let us get going. We have two things that we need to accomplish, and those two things are the back cover, which is going to be page 25. And I think I want to put a file folder on it. Thank you, Kimberly. It's even, I don't know if you can see it. There you can see it a little bit. It's even embossed. So it's pretty good for gripping. Sorry, I just got an important text message. Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. So, we have to do the last page and the front cover. So those are our two projects for today. So this is probably going to end up as two videos. But we shall see. Okay. So far we have done videos on, it might be fun to put something on the front and inside cover. We'll see. I'm going to flip all the way to the back because we have 23 and 24. And this is where we're going to put 25. And I think I want to do it like a file folder. And I'm hoping, I want to do one big enough to make, to hold 4x6 photos. So I'm going to get a piece of paper so we can do some math. Yes, I do have hurricane news, and it's almost all good news. Almost all good news. So there's been a few developments with Hurricane Dorian. The first is that yesterday it strengthened to a Category 4 hurricane officially. So it is a big storm now, broad, across. It's a very big storm, and its wind speed is powerful. So that's the bad news. The good news is that as Dorian is headed towards the Bahamas now, so of course, please, if you're inclined, keep the people of the Bahamas in your thoughts and prayers, that they're fine. But they expect, and there's very little variation in the hurricane models at this point. The meteorologists and forecasters are all kind of coming into agreement on it. The thought is that Dorian will go north from the Bahamas and not make landfall in Florida. Okay? And not make landfall in Florida at all is what they think is likely scenario now. In addition to that, a high pressure system formed over Orlando, and this high pressure system would form a barrier between the Gulf Coast, which is where I am. So I'm on the Gulf Coast of Florida because I'm in Tampa. This high pressure system would form a barrier between the Gulf Coast and the East Coast. So if the hurricane did come on shore, it would hit this high pressure system and turn back north. So for those of us here in Tampa, we are all breathing a sigh of relief. It's unlikely in the extreme that we would have anything resembling a direct hit from this hurricane at this point. We might, because of just how it affects the weather in the region, we might have more rain than usual with higher winds than usual, something like that. But as far as having to evacuate, extreme loss of power, anything like that. That's all extremely unlikely at this point for those of us in Tampa on the Gulf Coast. It is not totally unlikely for the people on the East Coast. Even if Dorian doesn't make landfall, it is big enough that it can still cause problems along the coast with high winds, a ton of rain, and something called a storm surge, which is when the ocean floods into the cities. So that can all still happen, and it could still make landfall in Florida. We don't know, but it just is looking increasingly less likely. So pretty much for Florida, it's all very good news. Of course, not good news for the Bahamas that the hurricane strengthened and it's headed there. So please keep the people of the Bahamas in your thoughts and prayers. And as well as the people of Florida, because we're still in the cone, they call it, the cone of influence, I think it's called, where we can't. Now Tampa we are one update away, I think, Tampa from being outside of the cone. So we are just on the very edge of the cone at this point. So I think, like I said, those of us here on the west coast of Florida, on the Gulf Coast of Florida, it's looking pretty good for us. But for the rest of the people of Florida, there is still danger. For the people of the Bahamas, there is still danger. And of course, there then becomes danger for the people of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, depending on where the hurricane does make landfall, if it does make landfall. Best case scenario, of course, would be that it stays out to sea and doesn't come toward the land and doesn't make landfall at all. Because, again, it is a very powerful storm and it would cause a lot of damage. So still, stay vigilant, especially people in Florida on the East Coast. But for us, where we are, I think we are in the clear. So, yeah, we will likely still get a lot of rain. And we will probably have high winds. Where we are, we're still in the cone of influence, which means tropical force winds, that we could have tropical force winds in our area. Now, I have been through a tropical storm, and they are not a big deal in the sense that I slept through it. So, I didn't even wake up. So they're not they're not great. I mean, they can do damage and they can be dangerous, but they're nothing compared to a hurricane. They're like a very, very bad thunderstorm. So if we were to have tropical force winds, I wouldn't be too worried about that personally. Having been through an actual direct hit by a tropical storm on Miami and seeing that it was not really an issue. Okay. So that's the update on the hurricane. So what I will say is bad news for the Bahamas. Please still keep them in your thoughts and prayers there. But mostly good news for Florida, although we are, like I said, we can still be affected by the hurricane, but it looks like we will not sustain a direct hit. So, guys, that's all good, right? Good glitter news. Good glitter news. All right, so I just need to do a little math on my file folder. So I'm just going to sketch. I want this part to be 4.5 inches and this to be 6.5. And I'm pretty sure that the tab that the punch board makes is 3/8 of an inch. And that means that this whole thing is going to be, the whole measurement would be 4 7/8, which is kind of annoying because this whole piece is 5 inches. But since I'm unsure, what I'm going to do is I am going to make one, and I'm just going to start with a 6.5 inch by 12 inch strip of cardstock, and then I'll score it to where I need to score it. So I'm going to show you how you can kind of cheat and not have to actually know the measurements of what you're doing. And now, because I'm out of brown cardstock, I only have one sheet left of that brown cardstock. I'm going to use something different for the base, I think. So the question is, what should I use? Should probably use a green or a red I think I'll use a green. This green is called Forest Green. And it's, again, it's a color base. Let me see. I think it's a little too green. If you see next to these, it's a little too like cool of a green. So not forest green. I think we may end up using military green. Although I think military green is a little too sagey. So yeah, it's still even too cool. So might have to do red, or I might have to suck it up and use my last brown. Or, wait. We can use double-sided pattern paper. We can use double-sided pattern paper. How about that? All right. So, let me switch you to the display capture. Everyone's favorite. This is a 13 by 19 canvas. Super B, it's called, is the size. I've also seen it written as A3 plus. So let's look at the designer cards. Wait, oops. Handmade holiday is where we need to be. Designer cardstock. So what would be cute as the outside? Maybe the snowflakes? Maybe the plaid? I want something that's more heavily green. And then maybe, okay, maybe the craft-based ones. So let's take a look. So we've got the, this one, which is, I don't know what this is. What is this? Holly on burlap. We've got this, which is the green snowflake. It's kind of busy though. This stripe, which might be the way to go. And then this snowflake, and this snowflake being a craft base, this might be what we want. Okay. So I am gonna cut this in half. And I'm going to cut it in half from the bottom up so that I have, I need a 6 by 7 inch piece. I think will be good enough. A 6 by 7 inch piece. Yeah. All right, so I have a 7 inch wide by 6 inch long piece of this, and I'm gonna go put it over here. Then I'm gonna come back and change that. And I'm gonna take a 6 by 7 inch piece from the top this time. And I'm gonna change this. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put it on the right. 1/4 inch in from the top and the bottom. I have these two pieces. And the reason I did it like this is because, oh wait, I need to rotate this one 180 degrees. Rotate. Nope, no. I need to turn one of them upside down. Rotate layer 180 degrees. Now they're upside down. Okay. The reason why I have them facing two different directions is because when I score this in half to make my folder, one of them will become upside down. So if I put one of them upside down at this time, okay, if I put one of them upside down at this time, then I can score along the break in between the right side up one and the upside down one, and they'll both be right side up. Does that make sense? So I'm going to do these on one side of my coated cardstock, and then on the other side I'll do the plaid. Now the plaid, I don't have to invert it like this because the plaid is already sort of omnidirectional because it is plaid. So the plaid, it's not a concern, you know, as much because the pattern is not directional. So I can just do one continuous piece of the plaid. And this is just because I'm making a folder. So, all right. And I'm only gotta wake up the printer. All right, so the way that I have this paper, you have that same paper in a pad. Well, Simple Stories released it as a digital collection as well. So you can, which I think it's like for the whole collection, including the snap cards, it's $10.99, I think. So it's certainly under, I think it's 12 or less. So if you do want to manipulate the papers like this, you can get the digital collection and have their official files, and then you don't have to mess around with scanning it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten this image and print it. And this is going to be the outside of my this is going to be the outside of my piece. All right, so now I can print this. And it's going to print this in the upper right corner. So while that's printing, I'm going to undo the layers and I'm going to delete these layers. And I'm going to take a 6 by 12 inch stripe, or a 7 inch by 12 inch stripe. Do you want to save the changes? No, I definitely don't want to save the changes. And then I'm going to take of the plaid, I'm going to take a 7 inch by 12 inch stripe of the plaid. And I'm going to put it on the left side of the paper. Because when I flip it over, the thing that I printed on the right side will move to the left side. So then I'll layer this, or I'll flatten the layers and I'll print. You can print without flattening the layers. It's not really a big deal. And then I can print this, just tell this to print as well. So as soon as the other one's done printing, I can put it right back in. And then I should have a 7 by 12 inch double-sided piece of cardstock that I can use to make my folder. All right, so that should do it. So let me come back to the desk while we wait. Alrighty. Now, once that pops out, it should be good to go. And then we just have to figure out our measurements for... So while that's printing, let's find out exactly how deep into a page the punch board punches. All right, so I just punched it out of another template I have for another project. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the cutting wire of my Fiskars trimmer with the bottom of the divot, and then I'm going to pick it up and look and see what the measurement is up here. That'll tell me how deep it is, and it is 3/8 of an inch, exactly 3/8 of an inch. So now we know that from the score line in between the two pieces of paper, we need to come up 4 7/8 inches to cut. So what we would do is we would put that score line at 4 7/8 and cut, and then below it, it would be 4.5. And I'll do that all on camera. Okay, so let's see my masterpiece here. So this is what I've just done. So here are my two pieces of the craft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this joint or seam in between the two patterns up with my pattern paper, and you can see how once it's folded, that's right side up and that's right side up. Okay, so that's how I have my pattern right side up on both sides. Although I just realized that I did all this work and it doesn't matter because the back is getting glued down, so I didn't need to make the back right side up. But you know what? You learned something anyway, guys. You learned something anyway. And then the inside, it doesn't matter because the inside is an omnidirectional pattern that will look just as good right side up as it does upside down. So now I just have to cut it out. So now I'm just trimming off the white edges. Okay. So now I'm going to score right in between them. This project doesn't have like an official name. I've just been calling it the Christmas in July, December Daily. And all of the videos for this project are on YouTube. And I made a playlist for them so that you can watch them in order. So I've lined up that crack or that seam between them with the last line on my scoreboard, so that I can see exactly, by lining it up with the last line, I know exactly that I'm scoring in exactly the right place. And then I can fold along my score line, and I'm starting to make my folder. So all right, so now I have it folded in half, so you can see on the inside, this is going to get trimmed off because I remember I printed it 7 inches when I need 6.5. The reason I printed it 7 inches when I need 6.5 is because they don't always line up perfectly front to back. So what you want is you want to have a little bit of overhang, so if they don't line up perfectly, you can cut off where they don't line up. Okay, so you can see this is right side up, this is right side up, and the inside it doesn't matter. All right, so now I know that I need the back to be 4 7/8. So I'm going to open this and I'm going to put the seam at 4 7/8 with the back at the and cut the back. So that'll be my first cut. All right, and then I know I want my front to be 4 1/2, so I'll flip it over, put the seam at 4 1/2, and again I'll cut it. Okay. All right, so the tab's gonna pop up, you know, here or here, wherever we put it. I think we'll put it on the right. And then, so now I need this whole thing to be 6 1/2 inches. So I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch off this side to make sure I get rid of the white, and a 1/4 off this side. All right. Okay, so now it's perfectly cut. So now it's already, it looks like a great little folder already. We're just going to use the punch board now to give it a tab. And before I do that, I'm going to run a line of tape along the top so that the tape will, what gets punched will follow the punch. That the back of the punched tab will be covered in tape, so that we know it won't peel or anything. And now we'll punch that. And I think that we want it here on this side, so I'm going to put the tab here. So I want my tab to be 2 1/2 inches. So I'm going to put my back piece at 2 1/2 and punch. And then I'm going to put it at 0 or right centered on the punch itself and punch again to get that tab. And then if I want a notch here, okay, then I do the same thing. So I just lay it flat and flip it end over end like this and put that at 2 1/2 inches. And then at 0. Actually, I don't need to punch that because we're just going to cut the whole thing off. All right. So on this front piece, this is the front, we're going to cut off the tab. And on this back piece, we're going to cut off the part that sticks up. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut off the part that sticks up. And then I'm going to open it and cut off the tab. And now it's going to look like this. All right, so it's looking very cute. And now we can round all the corners to make it look more like a file folder. So I'm just going to use the 1/4 inch side of my We Are Memory Keepers punch. And I'm going to punch through this corner on both of them, and then also this corner on the front here. Where can you purchase the digital packs? If you go you get it from simplestories.com. I'll get a link to this specific digital pack. That way you can see it. But if you go to the simplestories.com, if you're like watching the recording, if you go to simplestories.com, on the brown navigation bar at the top of their page, there is a place to click to go to digital store. So they do have a very, they do have a tab right at the top of every page that says digital store. But I am also going to post a link to Handmade Holidays full collection. You do have to be logged in to see prices. So I'm going to log in so I can tell you the price. And you just have to make an account, and it's free to make an account. So, okay, it's $13.99 for the entire collection, including the snap cards. So I was wrong about the price. It's not under 12, it's under 15. So, but I have a link, and you don't have to buy the full collection if you don't want to buy the full collection. You can just buy the pieces and parts you want, and just search Handmade Holiday in the search bar, and all the different options will come up. So, Oakley dokley. Now I'm going to ink everything while I work out what I'm going to do. I think I want to put a journaling spot on the back of this front piece so that when you open it, there's journaling here. And I think I want it to follow the tab and look cool. So I think that's what we're going to do there. And then probably put a photo mat on the back. Or actually, we could put a card here instead of a photo mat and have loose photo mats in it. And then we just need to create a way, some kind of page element that'll hold everything shut. So that the card, the loose photo mats won't fall out. Oh, it's so cute. I need to make more of these file folders, don't I? Don't you think? More file folders like this when I use digital papers. I think so. So I think we're going to put this here. And then we need to make something that will hold it closed. So let me look at my embellishments and such from this collection. Because I think using one of the 3x4 cards might be the way to go to hold it closed. Something like this, and then putting a magnet. Putting this on a cardstock flap, and then we could put a journaling spot behind it. And this one's pretty perfect because then we don't have to use the 25. The circle 25, because this says straight up it's December 25th. So I think that's what we'll do. I think that's what we'll do. Oh, and then let's pick a 4x6 or 6x4 card to go inside of it. Of course, that December one would work. Also, this 25 would work. We could use this because that also has December 25th on it. Deborah, I left Texas late October 2017 and we arrived in Tampa November 1st, 2017. So we've been in Tampa coming up on 2 years. 2 years now. We were not in Texas very long at all. We were only in Texas for about 3 months. The state didn't want me there, and I appreciated its opinion, and I left. So it made its opinion known, and I didn't try and fight it. It said, "You are not a Texan," and I was like, "All right, that's fine. I understand how you feel." Okay. So of all of these, I think the one that jumps out at me the most for going on the inside here is this Merry Christmas, or cutting out this element from this Merry Christmas and putting it there, because we don't want to layer plaid on top of plaid. But we could use that element. I actually like that better than this, so I'll add this back to the pile. Okay, then we have this one, which I grabbed because it says Merry Christmas, but I think no. Peace and joy, nah. It's the most wonderful time of the year is pretty good, but I think it is Christmas, so Merry Christmas. This one also says Merry Christmas, so it can stay. This one, because this page is this background, I think it's just too much of that red plaid. And then this one we could also cut out. So let's start with these two cutouts and see which one we could eliminate. I think of these two, I like the Merry Christmas better for December 25th. So it then comes down to this or this. And I think the cutout is the way to go. So yeah, Texas kicked me out, but that's okay. That's okay. It was... Oh, great, Deborah. I'm glad you were able to get it. When this paper first came out, I wanted to use it, didn't have a plan for it, didn't buy it, and then it was sold out and I was sad. So when I saw that Simple Stories had digital versions of their papers, I immediately got this one and then said, what do I need a project to work with. And then that's why we made this series, basically, because I wanted to work on Christmas paper even though it was July, and I was kind of in a Christmas spirit already from watching all the Hallmark Christmas in July stuff. So here we are. And like I said, if you're just finding this series now, I made a playlist on my YouTube channel. So if you go to my regular YouTube channel, not my live page, and you click playlists, there is a playlist there. I'm using my Tim Holtz scissors because I'm cutting through adhesive and I don't want to get a bunch of adhesive on my nice scissors. And when you hold the Tim Holtz scissors so that his name faces your thumb, it gives, and this works whether you're right or left, right or left-handed, it gives you a cleaner edge, just like a normal scissor. It doesn't give you a serrated edge. So if you're left-handed, you would want the Tim facing your pinky, like this. No, you would want the Tim facing your thumb as well, I think. Yeah. But I think he came out with left-handed scissors, right? Doesn't he have left-handed tools coming out? No, excuse me, snivels. So Mr. Lifeguard is outside doing the laundry, or not the laundry, doing the yard work, making sure everything's ready just in case something drastic changes with the hurricane. So making sure we're all prepared just in case, you know, checking branches, making sure there's nothing sitting in the yard that could be thrown through a window or anything like that. Luckily, the trees that are on our property are oak trees, which they do okay in hurricanes because their root system is spread so wide that it has to be a pretty strong storm to take down an oak tree. So we should be fine as far as yard work goes. So my sister's car had to go in the shop yesterday. Again, poor Liz, her cars are cursed. Her car is just cursed. For the same problem the last time I had to go in the shop which was a misfiring cylinder. But it was a different cylinder misfiring this time. And last time they said it was her spark plugs needed to be replaced, and they replaced all the spark plugs, and that did solve the problem for a while. This time, she took it to the Volkswagen dealer just to see what they thought, since it's having the same problem again. And apparently there's some kind of like known issue where carbon emissions build up on the fuel injectors or something, and then the fuel injectors have problems, and they said that that she needs that cleaned. And I said, this is a 5-year-old car. It should not be having so many problems. So I, at this point, can't imagine a scenario where I would own a Volkswagen vehicle ever again. Like, okay, so that's beautiful. So what we'll do is we'll have all of, you're a Texan. Texas was not happy with me. We arrived in Texas in July to like an unnatural heat wave. Like, it was on the news, you know. And then there was Hurricane Harvey a couple months after that, and it flooded my office. And then some other stuff happened. We had the sewer main line in the house broke and backed up into the bathrooms. I mean, there was just problem after problem until finally I was like, all right, I get it. You know what? It's fine. You don't want me? It's fine. I don't have to live here. I can go. I can just go. And then we can all be fine, right? We can all be fine. What's up? What's up? You got the estimate? Hold on 1 second, guys.
It's over $5,000.
Well, Volkswagen wants $5,000 to fix poor Liz's car, guys, which is just, don't buy a Volkswagen. Don't buy a Volkswagen. If someone gives you a Volkswagen, they hate you and don't be friends with them anymore. So, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Our car has fewer problems than poor Liz's car, and her car is a 2013 and our car is a 2009. It's just insane. I feel so bad for poor Liz. Okay, so that's gonna go here. And we're gonna put that little flap here. So that's the next thing we need to do is make the flap. So the flap we're gonna make out of a 3¼ inch by 8½ inch strip of cardstock. So we just like a long piece of cardstock. And we're gonna fold it in half at 4¼ inches. So 8½ by 3¼ inches, and we're gonna score it down the middle at 4¼ inches. So this piece is like 9½, so I'm just gonna score it in the, and then trim it down. But you would make yours 8½ by 3¼ and score it along the 8½ inch side at 4¼ inches. All right. So now we have this piece that is 3¼ by 4¼ and then another 3¼ by 4¼ panel. And I'm going to take those pieces that I pulled out earlier. Did I put them away like a dummy? I did. I think I did. I'm going to put this one here. I'm going to put this one here. And then we'll put this one on the front. And so we need a magnet. The way that this is all going to go is these two are going to go behind, journaling here, and then this one on the front to close it all up. And this will hold the file folder shut. So we need a magnet under this piece. So magnet goes here on the right. And I'm just going to stick it down with ATG just to hold it in place for now, about 1 inch in from the edge. Then I'm going to ink this piece and tape it down over the magnet. All right. There we go, looking good. So this will hold when it's finished, you know, 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 inch loose mats. All right. So that's cute. So now this piece, oops, not this piece. This piece will get stuck down here just to dress up what's going to show from this. But before I stick this down, I'm going to do another magnet. Okay. While I'm at it, let me just ink this piece. All right, there we go, inky, inky. So this piece, we need to add it, we'll put it, I'm going to put a magnet here. And then I'll put a glue dot on the back of this magnet. All right. And then I'll put tape over this piece as well. I like my magnets to be taped on both sides. That way I know that they're not going to pull away from the paper over time. As they get opened and closed. And I want a nice big element like this on December 25th because, of course, you take a bunch of pictures on Christmas Day because you've got your dinner and your family and all of that. So I want to make sure I have plenty of room. Okay. And then I can stick this on the front and our little closure will be there. I just want to add a little bit of interest to this, I think. So I'm going to do some fussy cutting here. Of this piece. So that I can slide something underneath it. All right, so see now how I can get my finger in here? We can use this to add a little bit of embellishment to this piece, so it's not quite so plain. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add see what we can add. Oh, I like this Santa cane. That's cute. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just trim this down and ink the edges. And then I can stick this here like so. And I think I'll turn it into a little banner here on the end. Okay. Then I'm gonna notch this end into a little banner. Oh, I'm so glad I can read your mind. I'm so glad I can read your mind. All right, so we'll just tuck this underneath here. And that just dresses it up just a little bit, but it's a big difference between having this whole empty space here and then having it look like it's all part of one embellishment. All right, so when we put this down now on top, it's gonna look cuter than if we had just put it by itself. All right, so what we're gonna do at this point then is just gonna tape around this, and then I'll show you how it all gets assembled. And then this will give us and then we'll start decorating inside the file folder a little bit more. But as far as the last page goes, I think this is going to be pretty great. I'm going to have room for lots of photos. Okay. Oh gosh, I can't believe that we're sisters. What is her name? Artemis? Is that right? Hi, Artemis. I think that's right. So we have our file folder, and it's going to go right here. And then this is going to get adhered. Yay! This is going to get adhered right here. So this will hold the file folder shut so our cards, our photo mats won't fall out of it. So the magnet that's here will hold the file folder shut so that when we open this, and then you can put 3x4 photos here as a 3x4 photo here too. Then we'll be able to open the file folder and it'll have a stack of photo mats on top of the Merry Christmas. And then when you take out the photos, you'll see the Merry Christmas. And this is how we'll finish off our December daily. So it's a pretty cute little mechanism. And I think it's going to be really, really nice. So the only thing I want to do here is put some kind of journaling here. And I'm thinking maybe there was that card that said Santa's List. Maybe that might be good to use. And we can just trim it to fit. And remember, if you're just joining us now, this entire project has been free. I've given all of the measurements. And there is a playlist on my channel for all of the December daily, Christmas and July projects for the whole book. So everything from planning to doing the cover, doing the spine, doing the binding, it's all in there. How to make it. This is it, Santa's List. So I'm just wondering if I put the Santa's List down here. If that is going to be cute. Or if it's okay to just leave it blank, you know, because it's holding the photos. Or maybe 2 vertical cards. Like maybe this bingo card, this Happy Holidays bingo card, and a little piece of journaling next to it. Can't do Santa's list then because it just covers up part of Santa's name. Or maybe we need this Christmas tree card. Or maybe we need the Christmas tree on the Santa's list card. That's what we need. That's what we need. That's what we're going to do. Of course, I chose the most complicated configuration, but let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, we'll cut out the tree. Exactly. We'll cut out the tree. That'll be so cute. Okay. So I'm going to cut out the tree and then we'll put it on with liquid glue. I need a machine where I can point to an image on a piece of paper and they can tell the difference between it and the background and cut it out for me. That's what I need. And I know that that could exist because Photoshop can do it. Like I can say with the magic wand tool, I can select the background and delete it and put an item on a different background. So I know technology exists to do that. So they just need a cutting machine that can figure it out. I have the scan and cut, and the scan and cut enrages me, and I think it's trash. It's so annoying. Kathy and I were talking about it, and I was like, why have we just not thrown our scan and cuts away? And it was like, because they work sometimes. You know, it works sometimes, and when it does work, it's so good not to have to cut everything out. And I said, it's like we're children of alcoholics or something, you know, we're being abused by this machine and we just can't walk away. Not to make light of being the child of an alcoholic, but I feel oppressed by this machine. I hate it, but I can't quit it. I can't quit it. So I don't know. I don't know. So that's how I feel about the Brothers Scan and Cut. Ugh. All right, so I'm going to have to get my knife to get this little corner because I don't think I have a good angle with the scissors. There is a machine that I'm looking at called the Sky Cutter or something like that. The word sky is in the name. And it says that it can like recognize a single pixel, a line of a single pixel and cut out right on the line. And the machine is expensive. It's like, I think it's like $700. But I'm at the point with the Brother Scan and Cut where if a machine could actually do it, I might just ask for it for Christmas. And just tell my family, each of you chip in what you can chip in, and then I'll figure it out. It's by Click and Cut. You know, they make the Zing, and the Zing is a very good cutter. And the Sky Cutter is it's a professional cutter, so it's really for people in manufacturing, which of course I'm not, but I'm such a whiny baby that I might have to just get a machine made for professional manufacturers. So, but yeah, the Scan and Cut is it's so annoying to me because when the Scan and Cut works, it works so great and you're like, oh my gosh, where have you been my whole life? And then you put in a different sheet of paper and it's like, okay, I see that there's 32 images on here and I think I'm going to cut 6. And you're like, well, but why? Like, why? Sky Cut is what it's called. Okay, thank you. Yeah, and they have several levels of Sky Cut, and there's some that are many thousands of dollars, which of course I do not need. But there is one that I think cuts 15 inches across that is around $700 or something like that. But it's hard to like see demos of it or get information on it because I don't think it's, because I think it's for manufacturing and not consumers. So there's not a lot of people doing educational videos. Okay, so the Sky Cut line goes from 500 to 1500. All right. But they said something about their eye is different. Something about the eye on the Sky Cut is different from other machines with a scanning eye, they said, which makes it more accurate. Now, they're trying to get me to buy a Sky Cut, so of course they're going to promise me the moon, but I don't really need the moon. I just need it to do what it says, because if the Brother did what it said it would do, the Brother would be amazing. It's just that the Brother doesn't do what it says it will do all of the time. It's only when it feels like it. Okay, how cute is that tree on this card? It was totally worth doing. Totally worth doing. Okay, so it says it has a full color camera, and that's the difference. Yeah, I mean, I think it does look like it might be better. So I think I think there's something to it. I don't think they're just making up how good it works. Renee says, I feel the same way about Silhouette and Cricut. I've owned them both, and they both annoy me equally. I know. At this point, it's like, look, I've owned a Cricut. I haven't owned a Silhouette. I've now owned the Brother. And that's, I mean, the amount of money I've already spent on machines that piss me off is probably close to, if not over, $500. So if there's a $500 machine out there that will just work, and do what I want without causing me a heartache every time, then you know what? Fine. Fine. Okay, so I've got this here. I just have to figure out the notch. And I don't want to use the world's most intense washi tape because I don't want to tear it. So I'm going to just use a couple Post-it notes. And then what I'm going to do is just trace the notch. And then I'm going to move this down so that there's about a quarter inch showing between this and the notch. And then, so I'm going to just move it down, and then I'm going to trace it again. All right, so what that's going to enable me to do is have the bottom of this follow that curve. I don't know if the Glowforge scans. Barbara Jean, I think, has a Glowforge. Maybe she can tell us. I've thought about the Glowforge, but you have to keep it wet or something, I think. Or it needs like a water cooling tank or something like that. And all right, so now that I've cut that corner, I'm just going to put this back in place and see if that works for me. And it does work for me. So now I'm going to round the remaining corners. Okay, so the Glowforge does not scan. Like, you have to upload files and it would be way cumbersome to try and do that. It's not. Okay, so that's not a use of the Glowforge then. Like, that would not be a reason to get a Glowforge. Glowforge advertises to me on Facebook so much. It's probably one of the ads I see the most. Glowforge really wants me to buy a Glowforge. Okay, how cute. How cute. It may have taken a little bit of extra time, but it looks like it was worth it to do it. All right. So I'm just flipping it over and I'm using one hand to hold it in place and rubbing with the other hand, and then I'll swap hands. I'm so excited when crafting is adorable. Do you ever just like get, that feeling when you look at your page and you're like, I'm such a genius. I am so good at this. I think I am, Barbara Jean. I think I am thinking of a water jet. All right, so now we just need to get everybody lined up. So I'm going to put a 1-inch strip of tape, not here on the back. So there's no tape on the front of this piece. So I'm just going to put 1-inch strips of tape all the way around on the back here. Then I'm going to put a 1-inch strip of tape along the edge of this. This is the piece that houses the magnet. And on the entire back. And then this piece will basically be done. We just need to throw some photo mats in it. And then, so then I'll do a recording break and we will do the front cover and then our book will be done. And then there will be one more video in this series after that, which will be once it's December, you know, I'll do some videos on how to use a December daily. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to peel the tape off the back of this. And only the back of this. And then I'm going to bring my back cover here. And I'm going to put this into position. And I'm going to put a clothespin on it to hold it in place. So when you feel like you need another set of hands, you can use clothespins. All right, so they're going to hold it in position. And then I'm going to come put this one where I want it, which is right about here. Yep. All right. So now I'm going to press it into place and lift up to remove the tape. From the edge of my folder. And then, okay, press down just the edge. And then I'm going to lift it up from the other side and peel all the rest of the tape. And then just press everything into place. So it looks like this, fully open, which is very cute. By the way, if you're wondering why I have so many freaking clothespins, I used to teach classes in person and I would give people clothespins to help them hold stuff while it was drying. And they're all just dollar store clothespins. So that's why I have so many, not because you actually need that many clothespins in your craft room. Okay, so we're just gonna put 4 1/4 photo mats in here. 1, 2, 3. Three will be plenty. So let me get my stamper. Oops, I forgot that I just re-inked this pad, so it's super juicy. Which is actually, I like a juicy pad. This is fresh ink in the color cocoa. That's a really nice brown. You like juicy oranges? Juicy oranges are good too. So are juicy apples. We got some Honeycrisp apples as a hurricane food. Now we just get to eat them because we're probably, I mean, I'll probably wait to eat them for a week, but we're probably not gonna have too many problems, if any, from the hurricane, which is wonderful. Here in Tampa, I think we're almost out of the cone. You're eating apples? I don't grow oranges. I want to get some dwarf citrus. I want to get a dwarf lemon. And a dwarf orange that you can, they're dwarf trees. They still produce fruit, but they're short, and you grow them in big pots on your patio, so you don't have to have a tree outside in the insects. You can have your trees inside your screened in patio, screened in porch, lanai, whatever you want to call it. So I want to get some of those. I kind of want a lime too, but we don't use lime nearly as much as we use lemon. Although if I had lime, I might make, my dad used to make growing up something called slimies, which was lime, basically just a lime juice slushy, and then for the adults they put gin or vodka in it. For kids it's just lime juice slushies. Alright, so then we put our photo mats in, and it holds our photo mats shut. So this is December 25th, so open, and then you can have a photo there or journaling or whatever. We've got Santa's list, and then you have your nice little stack of photos. You put the lime in the coconut? Yes, you have to. All right, so that's December 25th, which means all of the days are covered now. We've done all of the days. So the book is finished on the inside as much as it can be until I have photos. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to move to the outside and do the front cover. And I will do, not today, but at some point in the future, I will do a for YouTube final review of this before it has the photos in it. And that'll be a standalone video, and it won't be live. I'll record it. on my own time some other time. So what we're going to do now is we're going to decorate this area on the front cover of our book. So I'm going to do a recording break. So thank you so much for watching and for sticking with me through this December daily Christmas in July project that stretched into August. But my goodness, I'm just by the skin of my teeth making it not stretching into September as well. So we did at least finish it in August. And then I have to think about what I want to do for my next series of super sneaky classes. Yeah, what I want to do for my next series of super sneaky classes. So I'm going to have to ponder that. But thank you so much for watching. I'm not going anywhere. For those of you watching live, I'll be back in a second when I'm done doing the recording break. For everyone else, there is a playlist with all the videos in this series. I give all the measurements for everything. It's totally free for you to follow along. So just go to my YouTube channel, Kathryn Scraps, click playlists, and click on Christmas in July. Bye.